Yo, what's up? I'm Mike Fio.
And I am Nick Fio, and we are the Fio Bros.
And we are on season 37 of The Amazing Race, which on this day that we are filming this, just aired last night. And we've always wanted to create recap episodes for the show once we were on it. And so that's what we're doing here. But we wanted to make sure we created recap episodes that were different than anyone's ever done it before.
Yeah, so if you saw last night's episode, we have been trying to get on the race for the last 7 years, and throughout that process have watched a ton of recap videos, and they helped us a lot. But like Mike just said, we want to do things a little differently, and for us, the thing that helped us the most from those recap videos were the very specific lessons that the racers learned on the race. So they're specific reflections on mistakes they made or things they would do different, and that's what this recap is going to be like.
Yeah, we figured other teams are much better equipped to do the recaps with all the drama and like the behind the scenes stuff that you didn't get to see, but we're like these bros that don't really like, we're not going to be very good at that. But what we will be good at is giving you the practical, tactical, actionable lessons that if you ever want to go on the race, you'll be able to apply these as soon as you finish watching this video. And we want to keep it short and sweet and simple. Yeah. We don't want to waste
Definitely
time.
want to respect your time. And I think also if you never get on the race, I think if you do watch this, hopefully you'll still get some value from it, because we often say the race is like a metaphor for life, and so much of the lessons that you learn along this journey are truly applicable to living a good life as well. So running a good race, living a good life, hopefully we give you some lessons that can help you along your journey. And this is just some advice that we wish we could have given ourselves. So without further ado, let's jump right in to lesson number 1, which is
have tunnel vision. If you watched episode 1 of season 37, you will see that we got to that fork in the road towards the end of the episode, and we actually were in first place. But we still ended up being 30 seconds from being eliminated in that leg. And that is because we absolutely crumbled in this final lion dancing challenge. Well, part of that, once again, is we're bros. We play sports. We're not great dancers. We both have 2 left feet. So that was a big part of it. But if we could go back, we would definitely instill in our brains this one lesson, which is have tunnel vision. Because
tell us why that advice would have been really helpful during that time. Like, so what was going through your head?
So we did the classic thing that every contestant should do when facing a challenge that they were being judged at, which is we just went and like tried it with very little practice. And the reason we did that was we wanted to get a feel for A, how it actually feels to be on the stage, and then B, how lenient do we feel the judges are going to be here? So it gives us an idea of how much we actually need to practice. So that was good. We went out, we did a really shitty first attempt, but it was like an attempt just to feel things out. Proud of that. Went back for attempt number 2. And if you watch attempt number 2, you will see that the only thing that was wrong with our second attempt was the fact that Nick's tail and the back of his lion was hanging off of his back, but we had all of the steps actually right. So after that, the thing was, what they don't show on the race was we had no idea that that was actually the problem. Like, they didn't tell us what we did wrong. So now coming out of that, I'm thinking, oh, I don't have this, because the front was like responsible for most of the steps of the dance. And now I'm thinking in my head, I don't have this. And then the pressure started mounting. And now this is bringing us to this idea of having tunnel vision. I am no longer having tunnel vision because Jack and Carson get it right after that attempt. Then another team gets it. Then a second team gets it. Then a third team gets it. So now instead of having tunnel vision on this lion dance and the steps I need to take, I'm rubbernecking and looking at what all the other teams are doing and seeing them pass by. And now I'm freaking out even more.
Yeah. It was getting you to lose your focus on the task at hand. And that is a huge no-no on the race. When you're in these challenges, if they are very straightforward, there's no need to look at what other teams are doing and how they're performing. There is a time and place when like when you're in a challenge and you have no idea what the hell you're doing. It is sometimes helpful to like cheat and look at the other teams to see like, oh, how are they approaching this? But for this challenge, it was like straightforward, right? We had a guy that was teaching us the steps, and we just needed to nail them. And if we just stayed laser focused, we would have been super successful and been out of there and possibly have finished this leg in first place. So,
Oh, not first, but probably.
possibly. I mean, possibly.
Well, we didn't start rubbernecking until Jack and Carson got it. So,
Yeah.
very best would have been second.
Okay, we would have finished a lot higher.
We're bros and can't dance, so that was part of the
But,
problem.
Yeah, so I think that's a good recap here.
Yeah, but I do want to add one more element to this.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that when you start each leg, your energy tank is full, right? You're going into each, most of the time, unless you have a really short pit stop, your energy tank is literally full. But as the leg progresses and you go after one challenge to the next, sometimes hours long, sometimes almost a full day's long, your energy tank starts to deplete. So you have limited energy to go into that challenge.
It's like your iPhone battery, basically.
Exactly.
Like you wake up, it's on 100%, but towards the end of the leg, you're literally on like the red 20% thing, and your phone starts performing like shittier and shittier.
So the further you get in the leg, the more precious that energy becomes because you have so little left. So it's even more important towards the end of the legs to have that tunnel vision, because even though it doesn't seem like it, using a portion of that energy to rubberneck and look at the other teams and the stress that creates is taking you from like 20% battery life to like 5%. And that's, if you have an iPhone, you know, when you're on like 2% battery, it starts spazzing out and the iPhone is just not working properly. And that's exactly what happened to my brain.
Yeah, that was a good point, and it's a good transition now to go to lesson number 2, which is to chunk it. And how do we learn this one, Mike?
We learned this thanks to Nick's dyslexic brain. It's funny that I can't say Nick's dyslexic brain, but Nick is dyslexic, and that actually was a huge advantage for us in this challenge. We're talking about the same challenge, the Lions Dance, because as I was in this really stressed out place, rubbernecking, looking at all the teams, the pressure is mounting. Oh my God, are we about to get eliminated on the first leg after waiting 7 freaking years to be on the show? Was running through my head. And now the simple steps of this lion dance, which really weren't that complicated, ended up feeling in my head like 100 steps.
Yeah.
And Nick got us to slow down, and he used his dyslexic advantage. And one of those dyslexic advantages is being able to take lots of information, aka lots of these steps, and chunk it into 3 just bite-sized chunks. That way you go from 100 steps to just, there's actually only 3 parts of this dance that we need to like get down. And that helped me so much because, once again, energy management is so important, especially at the end of the leg. So rather than having to manage 100 steps, I only had to really manage 3, which was hugely helpful.
Yeah, as a dyslexic, basically, you need to come up with shortcuts to process a lot of information quickly, because my brain just can't handle it like Mike's brain. Mike's brain is literally like a computer when he's on high alert, but at this point, he wasn't on high alert, so I needed to kind of give him my strategy, which is kind of how I always run my life. And like Mike said, I see the world in blocks or buckets. So I did exactly that. And 3 is always my magic number. It's like, how can I take all of this information and put it into 3 buckets? Because that is so easy for me to understand and remember. And that's also a little side note here. That's why phone numbers are broken up into 3 and 4, like 748-8877. The reason that is because our brains can only remember so much. So 3 is a really important number here, and that's why I said that to Mike.
So what he did with the lion dance was he said, all right, well, the first part is the turning in the circle. The second part is the up and down. And then the third part is like the grand finale. And so in my head, it was like, all right, when I'm live actually performing it, I literally repeated to myself, okay, part number 1. And then my brain just knew part number 1. Then it was part number 2. And then it was part number 3. And then before you know it, I actually did it.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. And then like my brain was ready to explode. And this chunking method was so invaluable. And I wish that we had learned it sooner, because we would have gotten done with this task so much sooner if we did.
Yeah, but it's all right. That's our lesson learned here, and hopefully it helps someone either in life or on the race in the future. And let's transition here to lesson number 3. Mike, what do we got?
Shit energy equals shit luck.
So Mike and I learned this lesson towards the end of this leg 1, and it was right after we had just gotten our clue for finishing the lion dance. We just went through this stressful situation. We finally got our clue, and now our energy really wasn't in a good place because we felt like very nervous and anxious that all these teams had just passed us. There were 2 teams right behind us that might be getting it, and now we got out into the street and we had to find a taxi to make our way over to Phil. And you would think, okay, that's pretty straightforward. You get a taxi, you tell them where you want to go, and you get there, right? But I think because Mike and I had such anxious, shitty energy, we got atrocious luck. And they showed parts of this in episode 1 of us having they showed parts of this of us having difficulty finding a taxi. But the truth of the matter is that took us about
half an hour,
maybe even more, 30 minutes to 45 minutes to find a taxi. We were literally running all over Hong Kong in these ridiculous pants. It was a sight to see. And there was even a point where we got in a taxi, remember? And then we had to just get out. And
no, but the thing is, the reason that shit energy equals shit luck is there were times where we pulled over taxis that had no one in them, but they like picked up on, all right, well, A, it didn't help that we had these crazy lion dance pants on and we looked like nut jobs, but B, we had this frazzled energy, like, yo, can you please take us? And so the guy was like shook. He was like, I'm good, bro. And he just drove
like
off.
he wanted to stay away from us, basically.
Yeah, but if we would have came up with good energy, we would have had good luck. So we could have went up to one of those taxis with that calm energy, even though we looked like psychos with our lion dance outfit. They would have still let us in if we came up with that good vibe. He would have been like, yeah, open the door, come right in.
This is not over yet, though. The shit energy continues. Eventually, after 30 to 45 minutes, we finally find our taxi.
And now we're even more frazzled.
And we're even more frazzled. We show up at what we think is the pit stop. And now Mike and I are like, okay, we're here. This is where the pit stop is. This is where Phil is. But we still have this shitty energy. And we now go on a quest to find Phil. And Phil was on that roof that you saw with that beautiful view of Hong Kong. But underneath Phil was a restaurant. And Mike and I went right past the stairs, which they don't show on the episode. And we were in this restaurant. We were in the kitchen of this restaurant trying to figure out where these stairs were.
I kept reading to the people that worked in the restaurant, like the name of the pit stop that was written in the clue. And the guy just keeps saying, yes, I know where that is. And he just keeps guiding us deeper and deeper into the restaurant until we end up in like the bathroom for like the workers.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not what I wanted, bro.
Yeah. Literally ended up where the shit goes.
Wow. I didn't even realize that. The shitty energy literally led us to shit.
Yeah. But eventually, fortunately, we found Phil. And
in the nick of time.
In the nick of time, like Mike said, we were, I mean, 30 seconds to a minute from being eliminated on episode 1. And I really believe it was because we had that shit energy at the end of the leg. To not make this run on and on, we want to end it here. And we will recap what our 3 lessons. Mike, lesson number 1.
Have tunnel vision.
Lesson number 2.
You need to chunk it.
And lesson number 3.
Shitty energy equals shitty luck.
And that is a wrap for TAR 37 episode 1, our lessons learned. We hope you found this valuable, and we look forward to seeing you next week or on the next episode. Peace.